Hey everybody, it's Peter, and in this video I'm going to review two electric scooters. This is the Vespa Elettrica and the Piaggio 1 scooter. Now both of these are electric powered, and I've done individual reviews of them in the past. You can check my channel to see them in depth. But in this video I'm going to do more of a comparison. So if I don't go over every single detail, again, there are those other videos there. And if you have questions about them, I'm here at Jim Gilbert's Power Sports, Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, and they give me complete access to the entire Piaggio, Vespa, and Power Sports and vehicle lineup. So if you have questions, I can come back to these on video. So make sure you subscribe. I'll answer your comments in the comment section, and we'll make more videos if you have questions. So before I start my review, let's talk about the class that these scooters are in, because usually in scooters it's sort of a CC class, which is cubic centimeters, which is the size of the engine, which is how much the piston travels and the size of the piston, and all of that are things that these vehicles don't have. So this one is called the 70 km/h version. That's literally what it's called. So 70 km/h is approximately its top speed. That top speed is around 60 km/h. So that one is just a little bit slower, but there are tweaks in that. And again, there's some variation in that as well. So both of these, that one especially is comparable to a 50cc scooter. This one would be comparable to just above a 50cc scooter, but not quite the 150, kind of that in-betweener kind of feel as far as the speed goes. There's also some size differences between these two. So let's make sure we show you what it looks like to sit on these and how big they are for passengers before we get into some of the technical details where there are some differences as well. So let's take a look at the size of both of these. Now again, they're on the center stand, so they are a little taller, and that doesn't matter because once I lower it off the center stand, it will lower. If you are average height, you can usually flat foot on both sides of these, but because they're on the center stand, they're up, raised completely off the suspension. What I really want to show you is the seating position here. So this one has a little bit of a tilted seat here, so there's a natural space to put your rear end, and you've got good protection here with your legs. It's a little bit wider to my view here than on the Piaggio 1. Seating position, quite comfortable. If you are very tall, you will still fit here very well. There's a lot of room here for your knees, and it's a comfortable seating position. Jumping over to the Piaggio 1, again, it's on the center stand. This does feel like a smaller vehicle. Now it has a little bit smaller wheels. We'll get to that in a second. So just for perspective wise, it is a little smaller. Again, this is a level seat here. So you do have the ability to kind of sit back further if you're a taller person into the passenger compartment. But of course that would take away some of that passenger space. But overall, a little bit more compact feel to this. That one does feel a little bit more substantial, but again, pretty good. Decent width here to protect your legs here. It feels a little bit lower here. There's no headlight on this section. I don't know if that plays a role in it, but again, handlebars feel a little bit closer as well. Both are going to fit people of various sizes, but this one definitely does feel just a little bit more compact. Kind of a 7/8 kind of size difference, just a little bit smaller than the other one. Taking a look at the Vespa Elettrica to start, the rear seat is very well delineated here. You have this kind of color match stitching through here that really shows you where that seat is. And again, there is a bit of a up sweep here to a level spot here. Definitely a larger passenger seat here. There's no foot pegs that swing out like most Vespas in this class. You do have a little foot spot right there, which works pretty well. If I sit across here, you'll see, oops, turn it sideways there. Let's just jump right to the very back. You'll see the one difference with all Vespas, if they don't have the foot pegs that come out, your ankles are kind of angled a little bit out. It does work. You're not going to take a passenger for a long, long time on either of these vehicles, but you will have a little bit more rear seat space on the Vespa than on the Piaggio. Let's just show you that one now. So on the Piaggio, we did mention the little bit smaller seat here. Again, there's no delineation here, so you're kind of the driver has to move a little bit forward to give you a little bit of space because it would be a smaller section here. However, your foot pegs here do come out. So your rear passenger here, if I just jump on the back side here, you will see that my feet on the foot pegs, my feet are a little bit more comfortable on the Piaggio 1, but of course I will have less seat space. So each one wins in its own way for passengers. At the end of the day, you're probably not going to take passengers very far or very long on these vehicles, but you could. So I'm going to take a look at some of the styling differences that actually give you some practical differences with each of these bikes in a second. But before we go too far, I want to talk about charging each of these vehicles because there are pros and cons to each, and it'll depend on how you want to use it. So first of all, the Vespa we're going to show you in a second, it has a built-in battery. It doesn't come out, which means you have to be near a plug to charge this. There are some pros and cons, which we'll show you in a second. This one here, you can take the battery out, which means you can park this anywhere and charge the battery inside in your house, in your office, wherever you want. But there are some difficulties with that as well. So let's take a look at how they charge and we'll talk through some of the pros and some of the cons of each. So popping the seat on the Vespa Elettrica, if you're familiar with a Vespa, you will find this to be a very familiar looking space. There's that full face type helmet here. Now you may not be able to fit a full face helmet, but certainly a 3/4 face helmet there. Most Vespas, you can lift this out and see the motor. Here you're looking at batteries. Let me see, yep, you can see them there. All right, so put this back in. So that is your space to use. And again, you can see it's kind of unimpeded. You've got a lot of cool things here. It looks like there's a little keychain holder or something like that with the Vespa Elettrica. We're gonna leave that in there. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. Kind of a cool little piece there. It comes with that, a little collector's piece. So again, normal piece there. Now normally on a gasoline Vespa, this right here is going to be your fuel fill. On here, it is not a fuel fill. It is simply where you put the plug. So the plug comes out. And again, because it's built in here, now this should be much easier to do. Oh, there we go. I just had the little edge caught there because I let it fall in. We're going to edit this out when we make it look easy. There we go. So what I should have done is drop this with that little spot in there. But there's that little edge there that was causing me trouble. But you can see, very long, very thick cord. You plug this in, it starts to charge, makes a little bit of a fan type noise. Very simple to do. Now, you have to be within a certain range of a plug to be able to use this, or you can use an extension cord. Obviously, use a heavy duty extension cord if you're going to do that. They probably don't advise you to use extension cords, but you can see that works pretty well. So the pro of having that with you is just that. It's always with you. If you stop somewhere, go to a friend's house, wherever you are, as long as you have a plug in reach, you can charge this unit, which is good. You also don't have to give up any of your luggage space here for a charger or anything else. So the con being that if you're not parked near a plug, there's no way to charge this. So there's your pro and con of here, but let's take a look at the Piaggio 1. So the Piaggio 1 gives you a similar opening to the Vespa. Now, like a lot of Piaggios, this doesn't lift out, but the battery does. Because this has the battery in here, you do end up in a situation where you probably can't fit the same type of helmet that you would fit in a Vespa. Now, you probably could fit a helmet in here. They do talk about certain types of helmets that fit. There is a nice carve out in the top of the seat to give you some space. But again, you have that battery taking up some space. Now, the pro is you can sort of spin this and turn it a little bit, and this lifts off. That disconnects the vehicle from the battery, but without having a charger built in, let me just grab my charger over here. This is what you get from Piaggio for your charger. This is rather large. It's also rather heavy. So again, you have the ability to take your charger with you, but it would take up most of your luggage area. So you can take this out, plug it in anywhere. This is a little bit heavier. So again, where the Vespa has to be parked near a plug, this doesn't have to be because you can take the battery out. The other thing is when you plug the charger in, you actually disconnect the vehicle itself. So there's no real indicator to show you exactly the state of charge, whereas you just turn the key in the Vespa while it's plugged in and you can see the state of charge. So just a little different way of doing things here. By disconnecting the bike has no battery power without when the charger's plugged in. So again, each one has its pro, each one has its con. The ability to just take this out and take it with you is a pretty good idea, but it may be something that's less convenient for some people. There are a couple technical differences between the Vespa Elettrica and the Piaggio 1, and this is one of the keys. Literally, that is the key difference. It has a physical key for the Elettrica. So if you put it in where all the Vespas have their little keyhole, and turn it to the start position, you'll see the screen come to life here. A different screen here than on the Piaggio 1. This one has a little bit more color, a lot of the same functions. So you've got some power modes here. We'll cycle through that. There's power mode. There is, where are we here? Power mode reverse on both these vehicles, and eco. Now, eco limits your top speed. So while it will give you more range, it just simply won't allow you to have more speed. I haven't tried yet, but I'm not sure if just driving it in power at a slower speed will give you the same range as eco, but that is one thing to keep in mind. The eco mode here limits your top speed on both these vehicles, and that is something to keep in mind for extending your range will decrease your top speed. But there's the Vespa Elettrica. Let's show you the Piaggio 1. So the Piaggio 1 does not have a key, it just has a switch here, but it is activated. I mean, it does have a key, I should be clear. It has a key and you can use that to access underneath the seat. But to activate the actual vehicle, you're gonna hit a button here. I think you have to hit it twice here. Once that starts blinking down here, you can turn it to the on position. There we go. Turn it to the on position and the dash comes to light. Now again, digital display here, a little different digital display. The other one is more of a, I don't know if it's a TFT, I think it might be, but it's more of a multicolor, typical, like a cell phone screen, whereas this one is still multicolor, but a different style screen. But all the same type of stuff in here as well. You've got your sport mode, which is the full speed mode. You've got the eco mode, which is again, gives you more range by limiting your top speed, and there is a reverse gear on this. Now again, this one's fairly light. The Vespa Elettrica is a heavier version of a Vespa, so it is not as light as some of the other Vespas, and I can see the use for the reverse gear on that. Probably wouldn't need a reverse gear on this, but certainly nice to have as well. Moving on to the wheels, the front wheel on the Elettrica is very similar to a regular Vespa. You've got that sort of one-sided swing arm, you've got the disc brake and the suspension on this side, and this side is open on the front. This is very typical of a Vespa. Now let's check out the rear wheel because it is different on the electric model than it is on any of the gasoline models. So if you're familiar with Vespas, there's the drive side, which is the other side, and then there's the exhaust side. Because this has no tailpipe, therefore no tailpipe emissions, you have a clean area here where you can display both the front and the rear rim here. So you've got rear rim visible, which is again, abnormal for a Vespa. The Piaggio also does some different things. Let's take a look at its wheels. So most Piaggios have a second fork down here, something like the Piaggio Liberty. It will have a fork down here, just like your mountain bike, just like most motorcycles. This one is sort of set up like the Vespa. It's got the brake on the far side. It's a disc brake on both these vehicles. It's got the same style suspension, and that allows you to show off the wheel. The biggest difference is this is a 10-inch wheel, so 10 inches across here versus a 12-inch on the Vespa. But you do have this clear. Now let's look at the back because that's also different. On the Piaggio 1, there's actually quite a bit going on here. Instead of having the drive side and nothing on this side, you still have a swing arm on both sides. So the wheels are attached with two swing arms, that's what this piece is, and a spring on each side. So that's a little different. And then you have a brake on this side, whereas traditionally it would be on the drive side on some of these other scooters, including the other Piaggio scooters. But you have a disc brake on the rear, which is kind of nice to have. And then the double swing arm here as well. So little different look, little different way, but it does the same thing. They're both powered by electric, rear wheel drive of course, and that's how they work. Zooming back out to take a look at the front of these vehicles, you have a couple features here as well. The Vespa does things very traditionally. You have three little LED lights here and here, so three there, three there. These are kind of like your daytime running lights. They're hard to see on camera, but they're quite easy to see in person. But those are just kind of extra lights to give you visibility. Your headlight is up here. Now when a headlight is up there, you can kind of turn it side to side, you can flash your high beam side to side, you can get people's attention by having it up here. Very traditional look. On the Piaggio 1, a little bit different style. You have your headlights and marker lights down here. So there's an LED strip out here, an LED strip out there that are your marker lights, and your headlights are in between, which means turning the handlebar, your headlights don't turn with the vehicle. They just stay just like a car looking straight ahead. So a little different styling, a little different way of going about things. If you're used to one over the other, sometimes if you're used to having your handlebar headlight, you may find that this one doesn't do the same thing. Both are going to work very well as far as visibility on the road in front of you, just a different way of going about doing the same thing. So let's talk about who these scooters are for. Well, first of all, there is a price difference. The Vespa does cost significantly more than this one here. So there's that. And if you want to know up-to-date pricing, you can go to Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. It'll be right on their website. I never list pricing on the videos just because sometimes that can change and I want to make sure that you have accurate information. But this one does cost more. If you need a little bit more speed, the Vespa is your solution. If you have charging nearby, same thing. Now, this one here, I should also mention the Vespa has storage, more storage here, and a little glove box just like the regular gasoline Vespas. This one here is a little bit more unique. There's not an exact vehicle that looks like this in the Piaggio lineup. It is absolutely unique. It does have a little bit less top speed, but will be perfectly fine around town. The ability to take out that battery, to charge it anywhere, might be very useful for some. But like a lot of early electric vehicles, these won't be for everybody. They don't, once you run out of range, they do take a little while to charge. I didn't look up the exact specs on the Piaggio one, but this one's listed as about 4 hours to charge. So you're gonna be in a situation where you can't instantly refill the same way you can with a gasoline scooter. And again, gasoline scooters are very efficient as well. There is not the cost benefit yet for electric savings over gas savings because scooters are so efficient. So sometimes, same thing with electric cars, sometimes they'll try to justify, well, if I buy an electric car and I have, you know, this much driving, it'll save me in gasoline alone. That may not happen yet. You're buying these because you want to be tailpipe emissions free, and you have that. Maybe you like the way electric vehicles drive, which I have an electric vehicle. I love the way it drives. And you do have that instant torque kind of feeling. This is a very peppy feeling 70km/h scooter, and same thing with this. It's kind of a fun, silent, quick, easy to get around vehicle. So they're both a lot of fun, but they do have their differences over gasoline models. And that's really the benefit of Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. You can see this one, take it around here, you can see this one and take it around here, and you can compare them both to the gasoline counterparts from both Piaggio and Vespa right here in stock. Now in January you won't be driving these, it's a ton of snow outside right now, but the showroom here is still massive and you can come look at these in person for yourself, and that's probably the best way to decide if either of these are best for you. So I want to thank Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals for giving me access to these vehicles and for allowing me to film them. And if you have questions, let me know in the comments below. And like I said, I did do individual videos of these outdoors earlier, actually later last year, so you can take a look at them as well. And again, if you have questions, let me know. I'd be happy to answer. Thanks everybody for watching.